Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again for XRL to get underway. I'm your broadcasting host, St. Larry 13. Once again, we're looking at a 19-car field for today's event. I'm not even going to have time to go through the entire grid order, although I'll try. For Mercedes, it's Beastin and Raptor. For Ferrari, it's Ryan Hurricane and Danny JJ02. Aston Martin has Collie Boy. McLaren has Mr. Anderson and Lowe. Renault has Zola and Smoothie 25. The AlphaTauris have Venom and Ozda. The Tracing Point, Higsby and Young Maneuver. The Alfa Romeo is Davis Khan and Velocity. Haas is Torpedo and Fiend. And Williams has Frisbee Lee and BG Bull Beast as we are preparing to load onto the circuit proper to begin our first round in qualifying. The season is very nearly over. It's been a 17-race season for XRL, and this is the 16th race left in the schedule. So this is, if you want to make any sort of like good highlight for the end of the season, if you've not done it already, this is like your second to last chance to really do so. Hopefully we'll see some good results from today. And with all the excessive amounts of runoff here at France, there should be no worry whatsoever about drivers crashing unless they're hitting each other. Give us just a second to get a proper view on the track itself, and we'll go ahead and we'll pull up the current standings as they are right now with just 2 races left. Also, one of the big shakeups that's happened is that both of the championship contenders have moved to the Ferrari team. Danny JJ02 has a... Is this updated? I don't think it's been updated, has it? Yeah. So, our standings have not been updated from the last race, it seems. So I cannot actually give you an accurate idea as to what the championship standings are like. That's interesting. I can tell you this much, though, with only 2 races left in the season, and the spread still being around 30 points. Realistically, if Danny JJ02 can just finish today's race in the points, he will have pretty much locked up the championship after a interesting mid-season fight that he went on between himself and Ryan Hurricane. To get ready right now on this circuit. Here's XRL Ozda. Looks like he's going to try and be one of the first, if not the very first, coming out onto the track. You see him coming down the long drive lane right now. Right now, just watching him as he's going around the circuit. Go ahead and turn this back to full map. As you can see, not very many drivers are rushing to get onto the track. As XRL Raptor used to be known by XRL Steel. He has now changed his name to XRL Raptor, but regardless, is still Steel, the staid man who has struggled with the Mercedes this entire season, along with his teammate Beastian. A big issue with the Mercedes is that they have a lot of ability, but it's kind of like trying to catch a knife's edge when it comes to maximizing what that thing can do. Raptor and BC has just struggled to get that done all season long. They've had some absolutely great runs in qualifying several times throughout the season. They've made Q3 quite a bit. They're having trouble keeping everything together in the race itself and bringing home good finishes. They've gotten points at least. It's not like they're Williams out here, but the car just seems to simply be way too aggressive. And that has also been a problem for the drivers in the Red Bull team. Collie Boy, and he is not here today, and he might not be with us for next week, but Kinsey Retro, the cars in the Red Bull camp are also very much here and there not been the greatest at actually contending directly for long-term race positions. They've not been bad in qualifying. They've had some great qualifying runs. And over the last 2-3 races, they've had some good runs coming to the end of races, but have trouble really sealing that off. Collie Boy has adapted a bit, but still the two faster cars have not quite come up to the level that you would expect to see in real life Formula 1. And being as this is the realistic race series, a big element of it is that the faster drivers are put in the slower cars. So your Haas, your Alfa Romeos, and your Williams, that's where your absolute fastest drivers are supposed to be at. And it looks like XRL Raptor is out there trying to do a little bit of foraging for, I don't know, extra grip or power or something way off circuit, but he is back underway. But as I was saying, the faster drivers are put in the slower cars, your Williams, your Haas, and your Alfa Romeo. While the slower drivers are put in the faster cars like Mercedes and the Red Bull. What that means is that you'll have a lot of drivers around the front who are in really mediocre cars, and they themselves are kind of in the middle when it comes to skill ability. Now, again, XRL isn't something you can just show up and it's like, hey, I'm here. Oh, hey, you're here. You can do whatever you want. There is some level of a qualifying system within the series, as Oz has gone ahead and set the first time of the day. There is a qualifying like system in the series. You need to show that you can run cleanly on track without being a problem, to say the least. But the faster drivers being the slower cars brings them down to everyone else's level and forces them to adjust to the race in a different way. The slower drivers being the faster cars also gives them a very unique circumstance, because every car within this game, just like in real life, has their own little unique handling quirks and characteristics and models, and it makes for some very interesting attempts at setting things up and going full bore. That's been one of the big things with XRL. We've seen throughout this entire season drivers making some really bad cars work. But we've not seen a whole lot of times where the really slow, the really fast cars have just been able to show up at the front all day. The exception to that would pretty much be Bahrain, where we saw the Red Bull of Kenzie Retro leading laps and pulling out a second place finish. So it can happen, but it's been an extreme rarity. This is Ryan Hurricane, one of your championship contenders, who's currently on the circuit right now. But what I'm very interested in is this man right here in the Renault. XRL Zola is out on circuit, and instead of the soft tire compound that almost everyone else is using, he's elected to try qualifying on the medium tires. So what's the benefit of that? Well, the anticipated forecast is that the qualifying session will stay dry all the way throughout, but we're anticipating a wet weather race, or at least the race starting under wet and then maybe potentially going dry. With that in mind, you can go ahead, burn through a set of mediums if you feel it's not going to be an issue. As long as you know you have enough pace to make it into Q2, that shouldn't be an issue. And now we go to the obvious thing about qualifying pace and ability. You need to be one of the fastest 15 drivers to make it into qualifying session 2. If you're 16, 17, 18, 19, you will not advance into the next session. Ooh, Zola, a little bit of trouble trying to stay on the circuit there. This is XRL Raptor. He's aborting his attempt. This Collie Boy goes across the line and he sets the lap to 131.176. A very large spread in times right now from Mr. Anderson and Raptor. But Raptor, I'm pretty sure, had an issue on the circuit. Zola in the middle of a flyer lap right now. And here comes your current points leader, Danny JJ802, was in the Renault for a large portion of the season. Now he's in the Scuderia Ferrari. We're going to go silent and right on board with points leader for a full lap here around France. Not a great run whatsoever for Danny there. Significant issue. PPR Venom is in the middle of a lap right now, and Smoothie25 is trying to come down to get a lap set up very shortly here. This is level 6 Beastian, who is in the middle of an out lap as well. He's just come out of the pits. And here is XRLO, who was a contender for a tower early on but fell off. We'll try and ride on board with him for a lap instead and see if he can get a full lap going here at France. that's a full lap on board with XRL here at France. It's a 131.035. It's good enough for 6 at the moment. And what that means, though, I will say this, I think there's a lot more ability for Lowe, and he left a lot on the circuit there in Sector 3, being trapped behind XRL Raptor. His teammate, Mr. Anderson, has a 129.907 right now, so I absolutely believe the McLarens are very well set up for this race, but Lowe's flyer lap, he kind of had to make do with what he was given. Right now, XRL Raptor is down circuit trying to improve off of what his prior lap was, where he had an incident. He's going to have to make a significant improvement, though, and again, only the 15 fastest drivers will advance out of Q1 and get into Q2. Raptor right now is down in the 13th position, 159, but he's already up by 26.9 seconds, so he should be at least in the ballpark of everyone else here. And for the other drivers in the middle of a lap, like XRL Fiend, Level 6 Beastie, and his teammate, they see him out there with all this time off. They are scared, they're not liking it, and they're probably looking at the spotters, looking at the officials, and they're saying, "You see that guy? Shoot her! Shoot her!" And here comes Raptors right now. It is a 130.855, but it was invalidated late in the... Oh, there we are. Yep, 130.855. So there it is. It took a while for the ticker to update it, but he is now up to the 6th fastest lap time thus far. Excuse me. Now, Level 6 Beastian, Torpedo, and Veloci all are still in the pit lane. Now, Beastian was out on track earlier, but aborted. He's not tried again. Danny JJ802 is in the middle of an out lap after he invalidated his first attempt, and Frisbee 2 is also in the middle of a lap right now in the Williams. On board with Danny, you can see the Williams just up ahead. These two are going to be the next two drivers to set lap times in this session, assuming that they don't invalidate. 6.5 minutes left in qualifying session 1. Right now, Zola is in a decent position, because if Zola can stay qualified at the top 15 instead of medium tires, he basically has a free set of softs that he can use. If, in the race itself, rain goes away and you can run fast to the end, he'll have an extra set of softs that he can use. But with that said, Zola's in pit lane, and he has apparently swapped onto a set of softs just in case enough drivers go fast enough to bump him out. You see the Williams of Frisbee 2 pulling away from Danny. And they'll close up just a little bit under braking. See, lays on the overtake button. Maximize speed here. Final corners, and there's Frisbee. Frisbee will go across the line, and he will set a lap time of 130.622. Danny will set a lap time of 131.265. So now, Jabaston is the driver on the bubble. Fiend is on the outside looking in. Beastian and Torpedo are both out on circuit, trying to set laps right now. Beastian coming out of the final corner. His teammate Raptor currently has the 7th fastest time. It'll be interesting to see what Beastian can do. Beastian's been a little bit better at braiding his Mercedes home to the end of the races. However, typically whenever Raptor does braid it home to the end, he typically is scoring higher than his teammate. So Beastian, a little bit more conservative approach has brought him to the end a bit more frequently, as Raptor has gone ahead and retired from the session. 7th, he must feel very confident with that time. Also is retired from the session, as is Ryan Hurricane. And these drivers all in the top 7, they all feel like there's no need to push anymore because the likelihood of them getting knocked out is almost infinitesimally small right now. Fiend is in a very difficult position because he is still in pit lane. He needs to get on track as soon as possible, and then just to beat Jabaston, he needs to improve by about 6/10 of a second. So he absolutely needs to get out there and needs to do something. Davis John in a very, very difficult position. Also in a difficult position is Bullbeast, because right now he is locked in. Beastie and Torpedo are in the middle of flyer laps, and Veloci is in an out lap right now. So that can change, and if all three of them set good times, Bullbeast could be on the outside looking in. Coming in the last corner, and then Beastian aborts the lap that he was in the middle of, and with 3 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock, I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% confident he will have time to get out there and set another lap if he feels it is necessary. He had a time, at least if I was in Beastian's position, I would have at least recorded that time, but he must have felt that something was absolutely off, and he still had a better shot. But it's going to be very down to the wire for Beastian, as Torpedo is now the driver we turn our focus to see what he can do here. Nice long sweeping corner. Two corners left to go for Torpedo and the Haas. Now the final one now, straightens that car up, lights tires, opens up the DRS, and at the line, Torpedo will set a lap time of 132.882. That is not good enough to get into the next round, so neither Torpedo or Fiend are in a position to advance as it is right now. Veloci coming down to start his flyer lap. 1 minute 53 seconds left on the clock. Beastian is back out on circuit. If he doesn't make a mistake, he should be able to get to the line with enough time to set one lap, maybe two, but one lap for sure, for certain. We'll see in the middle of a lap right now. See one of the Ferraris, I believe that is Danny, who is pulled off to the side right now. Danny's going to try and go for a slightly faster lap. Wouldn't be too terribly concerned if I was in this position. Collie Boy jumps up to the 7th spot now on the timesheets. Fiend is in an out lap, as is level 6 Beastian. Veloci trying to make something happen. There is a Haas way off the circuit just ahead of Veloci. I'm trying to see who that is. I believe that's Torpedo. Right now, the Haas's are not in a very good position. It looks like neither will advance unless somehow Fiend or Torpedo can make something happen. Veloci really far off circuit there. That's not looking good. But the lap is still legal. Way off circuit for a long period there. I'm honestly shocked that the lap was still considered legal. But it is, and he will set a lap time of 133.229. That's the worst we've seen yet. Now level 6 Beastian is in the middle of a lap. Veloci will have one more attempt at a flyer. Beastian has invalidated. Beastian has invalidated. He will not advance out because he will not be able to set a single lap time in the session. So now the focus goes back to Veloci and Fiend. Fiend has invalidated the lap as well. He will not advance. Oh, and Veloci spins! And with that spin, it's going to take so much time off that by default, he will not advance. So BG Bullbeast is safe. And the qualifying session basically ended as soon as it ended. I know that sounds like a redundant statement, but I'm dead serious. Within about 10-15 seconds after the time was up, we saw what the results were for Fiend, Veloci, and Beastie, and Torpedo was not out on circuit to improve. So everyone who set laps early on is in. And now you have to wonder if maybe the track was changing, maybe because the sun was out long enough and it was changing the temperature of the circuit, it was altering the way the cars were handling, and that might have had an impact as to why those last several laps we saw set, none of them were improvements off of what we saw earlier. And for Veloci, for Beastie, and for Fiend, frustration and heartache. And for the Haas team as a whole, that's going to be looking very, very bad for Haas. But Mr. Anderson, is going to be your not pulsar, but your top driver at the end of qualifying session 1. He will go into qualifying session 2 with a relatively good scenario, and his teammate XRL Low was able to set a time of 1:30.966, which is, I believe, if I'm seeing that correctly, that is more than a full second off of his time. So a very significant gap in ability between the McLarens right now. Right now we're just waiting on Veloci to get that car into the pit lane. That's not the case. It looks like he is out of fuel coming online. But now the session is over anyway. This man, BCN, not able to set a single flyer lap in the entire session. But anyways, that brings it into qualifying session 1 as we prepare to load up for qualifying session 2. But real quickly, a quick rundown. Mr. Anderson advances as does Ryan Hurricane, PPR Venom, Smoothie 25, XRL Ozda, Frisbee 2, Collie Boy, XRL Raptor, XRL Zola, XRL Low, Higsby 97, Danny JJ02, Yun Maneuver, Javis John, Beast Torpedo, Fiend, Veloci, and BCN are the 4 drivers who will not advance whatsoever. And again, Danny, good job on his part, able to qualify in the next round using a set of medium tires. Anyways, you see the sky's gotten a little bit darker as rain clouds are moving into the area. Not here yet, but that is going to cool the track surface off just a little bit. It will change the way that the car is handled. Typically what that means is that for Formula 1 cars, unlike most other racing series, the tire temperatures have a very high and narrow band of perfect operating temperature. They can operate in other scenarios, and they can, but their ideal operating temperature is much higher, so we're going to see a lot of struggling by drivers to try and get that properly fast lap, because they need to get the tires nice and hot and then keep them hot in the straights, especially the one down sector 2 and right after that little sector 2 chicane could be just long enough the tires could cool off. So shouldn't be too much of an issue. Drivers will still be able to set laps, but it will be hard to get the tires to their ideal operating temperatures. AJ02 is one of the first drivers out in the circuit, the actual first driver out. One of the most exciting drivers in this entire series. It is Yun Maneuver. He's put together some absolutely fantastic races. He's only been with us for not quite half the season, but every race he shows up to, he's absolutely fascinating to watch on circuit. Easily one of my favorite drivers to watch in this series. Keep an eye on this man. Always likes to get into an alternate strategy. Always likes to really put himself under pressure. We've seen several times where he looks like he'll be cruising off to like a third or fourth place finish. He'll come in late, put on a new set of tires, and just go. And he will pass 4, 5, 6 drivers in the last 10, 15 laps of a race and try and go for a fastest lap and still finish where he would have finished already. He really seems to like the pressure of coming late and then just going balls to the wall, being way faster than everyone else around the circuit. Anyways, as it stands right now, the ideal tire compound choice seems to be softs, and for the drivers who are running mediums, I have to wonder, maybe they missed the memo that the race is anticipated to start under wet weather conditions. Frisbee 2, PPR Venom, XRLO, and XRL Ozda all on the medium tires as Yun Maneuver is beginning his first flyer lap. His teammate Higsby has had a little bit of an issue there in Sector 3, but he's already back underway again, nice and proper. Nearly the entire field is out onto the circuit. Zola and BG Bullbeast are the only exceptions to that right now. Is this Smoothie 25? Being very conservative with the ERS and the overtake button. He's going to save all of that until he's in the middle of the flyer lap. Ooh, and that is Collie Boy, who it was in the middle of a flyer lap, but he had to abort and pull over to let other drivers by. So we'll have to go again. Hopefully the damage to the tires isn't too much. He's used a little bit of the overtake, not really laid into the ERS much, and hopefully the fuel's not too bad. He should be able to get one more shot of it if he wasn't too aggressive in the first little bit of that lap. Meanwhile, your points leader, DJJ02, trying to make something happen right now. Setting up to finish his first flyer lap. Your fastest lap thus far is from Young Maneuver, and now Danny goes right to the top, 129.992. So now we see that those medium tires, obviously, unsurprisingly, were holding him back, having less grip overall. But it doesn't matter because Mr. Anderson actually goes right back to the top. Frisbee will be the first driver to set a time on the mediums with a 131.717. That's not a very competitive lap time compared to anyone else thus far. Ryan Hurricane is coming down now. To set his lap, he will be the 6th driver to set a lap in the session. Compared to his artificial teammate Danny, it is a 130.900. Anyways, here comes Raptor. He will finally set a lap time of his own, 130.801, so right there in the middle right now. 7 drivers have set times in the session. Venom has invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. He will have to go again low. He's choosing to run with the medium tires for now, so he's going to be significantly slower than everyone else. At the line, his time will be 131.412, so faster than Young Maneuvers, faster than Frisbees, but still slower than the majority, as now already 9 of our 15 drivers have set times. Collie Boy in the Red Bull is rounding the curves in Sector 3 right now. Bit close with cutting the track there, but Collie Boy will come down and he will set the 10th lap time of the day. It is going to be a time of 3.057, the third fastest we've seen thus far. A very wide spread from fastest to slowest, even if you're not accounting for the medium tire compounds. DPR Venom in the middle of another lap. Zola is in pits. Bullbeast is also in the middle of an out lap, and Ozda has just begun his flyer. Right now, Venom is going to try and be the next driver to set a lap time in the session. He is one of the drivers with the medium tires equipped. And what the point is of the medium tires, we talk about soft, medium, hard tire compounds. In Formula 1, they make 5 different compounds for the cars, and 3 of them will be brought to a race. And those 5 tire compounds vary from being soft to very hard. And what that means is that the harder tire compounds have a little bit less grip, but you can run on them significantly longer. The soft tire compounds, very, very small amounts, so very, very small amount of time that you can use, but they have a lot of grip. So 3 of those 5 tire compounds will be brought to a racetrack, and the one that is closer to soft will be called the soft, the one in the middle will be called the medium, and the one at the end will be called the hard. Typically, you don't see drivers utilizing hard tire compounds at all in qualifying. It's simply just not useful. In qualifying, you are trying to set the fastest single lap time, period. So, in qualifying section 2, you can run whatever set of tires you want, as you could in any of the sections, but ideally you will use softs throughout qualifying 1 and 3. So, in qualifying section 2, you will choose either the soft or the medium tire compounds, because there's no point in really choosing the hards. And you will try and start the race on that set of tires that you set the fastest lap on. But but that only applies to the top 10. If you are 11th or lower, you can still change your tire compound afterwards. But top 10 advance to qualifying session 3, where they go for the pole, and they have to start the race on that exact set of tires they set their fastest lap on. If it's invalidated the lap he was in the middle of, we'll go ahead and follow Zola. So that is what happens there. Now, you typically will see drivers try and start on the medium tire compounds if they can, if they're going to be in the top, if they know they're going to be in the top 10, because they can stay out on track longer, let the field get a little bit more spread out, so they have cleaner air on their wings and actually get into a rhythm. Now there is a counterpoint though. You could try and start on the softs, and you'll be a little bit faster than everyone else for the first few laps of the race. You can try make moves real quickly and gain some positions early on, but you also will have to pit earlier unless your ability at saving tires is stupendous. And Zola now begins his flyer lap. So that is basically the way the tire strategy and setups work for these races in Formula 1, and obviously is replicated in this game as well. And then there's the harder tire compounds. Typically you'll see drivers from 11th on down, one or two of them will jump onto the hard tire compounds to start a race, because they will be doing that under the assumption that they'll be able to make up positions by avoiding incidents at the start, and then they can just stay out on circuit and hold their spot for a long time, and might even be able to make it to the end on only a single stop. As it stands right now, and Smoothie is retired from the session in the pits. And that was with the 5th fastest lap time of 1:30.340. So he must feel real confident that the drivers farther down will not push him out. Right now is XRL Low, who is on the bubble, and he is coming down to start his flyer lap right now. And then Young Maneuver and Frisbee 2 are both on the outside looking in. Bull Beast, Zola, and Davis John all have yet to set lap times. We are watching Zola right now as he is attempting to set his flyer lap, and Davis John is a little bit further up the road. He will be doing it shortly. Raptor has also just gone ahead and retired. His situation is even tighter. He is only 7th. All it would take is Bull Beast, because Zola's already jumped up to 5th with a 1:30.279. All it would take is Bull Beast and Davis John to set times. Raptor would be on that bubble, and then someone farther down improving. He could get knocked out of this qualifying session very quickly, as we now turn our focus to Davis John in the Alfa Romeo. Collie Boy now retires from the session. So a lot of drivers feeling that there's not really a whole lot of point and purpose in being prepped for another go. Again, there is less than 4.5 minutes left in the session, but still, if I was anywhere outside of the top 5, I would not feel very confident. Mr. Anderson now goes ahead and retires from the session. He has the fastest lap time thus far at the 1:29.964. One of only 2 drivers who would be able to break the 1:30 barrier so far in these sessions. Down to the line, this is Davis John, and he will set a lap time, the 14th lap time of the day on the boards, 1:31.932. That is not a competitive lap time whatsoever. But it's not looking good for Raptor, because he has been pushed all the way down to 9th. So he may have chosen to do that retirement a little bit too early. Bull Beast, what are you doing? What in the world was that? That was a kerfluffle if I ever saw one. But anyways, now Frisbee 2 and BG Bull Beast are both out on circuit and are both trying to set laps. Frisbee trying to improve, Bull Beast trying to get in. Raptor is now on the bubble, and I hate to say it, but Raptor may have retired too early from the session, because I do not see any way he is going to be able to cruise into qualifying session 3. If he does, it would be impressive, but I don't see it happening. Venom is out on circuit. He is going to try and improve, and as it stands right now, we'll see how much he is up on time at the line. And this will just be at the end of second 2. All Venom has to do is just be up by 0.3. He's up by 0.8. So yeah, unless Raptor makes a big mistake here, and a lot of other drivers make nothing but mistakes, Raptor is going to get bumped out of the top 10. The two Williams of Frisbee 2 and BG Bullbeast are hooked up back there, and they're trying to set it up so they can get a little bit of a DRS draft off of each other down the straights. Venom trying to improve. He's on the outside looking in, but I don't think it's going to be the case for much longer. Final corner. That flat pops open, and at the line, Venom will go ahead and set a lap time. 1:29.797. That's not just a great lap time, that is the fastest lap time we've seen all day today. By a significant amount as well. Higsby is now the driver on the bubble with a 1:30.652. And he is in the middle of an outlap right now, about to start a flyer. Frisbee and BG Bullbeast. These are the next two to watch. Bullbeast leading Frisbee, so Bullbeast will have a little bit of a draft that he can pull off of his teammate here in Sector 2. Bullbeast very late. Gain on the DRS, and they nearly made contact down the straight. That didn't look so good. But now Bullbeast is ahead of his teammate Frisbee. This is a very interesting scenario because we only have 5-6 drivers who are in position to set more laps if necessary. So these decisions late might end up changing how this goes. Oh, and Bullbeast is invalidated. Bullbeast has invalidated his lap, so now it's a race for him to see if he can get to the line in time to set another lap. Frisbee does not have that same problem right now. Frisbee will set a time. The question is, has it improved over the time he has already set? Will it be enough to get him over Higsby? At the line. It is! Higsby is on the outside. Now Lowe is the driver on the bubble. Higsby, though, is up by a significant amount of time. We might see Lowe get knocked out by Higsby here. He does! Lowe gets knocked out. So now it's down to Frisbee and Bullbeast. What can they do? Bullbeast is already invalidated. So for the second session in a row, a driver ends up not being able to set any lap times. And that means that the session is basically over because Frisbee, there's no need for him to push. So qualifying session 2 comes to a very, very interesting end. And for BG Bullbeast and the other Williams, frustration. The Williams have the ability to make it into qualifying session 3, but the driver let them down. But he was able to help get his teammate Frisbee into the session with a little bit of that aerodynamic wake going down the first of those two back straightaways, so it did help a little bit. His efforts were not completely in vain. But for all intents and purposes, this session is now over. We'll see both of the Williams bring it into the pits. And the man on the top is PPR Venom. So there's your times. PPR Venom with the fastest, then Mr. Anderson, Dandy Gazer 2, Collie Boy, Ryan Hurricane, XRL Azda, XRL Zola, Smoothie 25, Frisbee 2, Higsby 97. Then the drivers who not advance as Bullbeast, Gabus, Kion, Young Maneuver, Raptor, and Lowe. And for both Lowe and Raptor, they both must be kicking themselves because I do absolutely believe that both of them had the chance to get out there and potentially set faster lap times than what they did, especially for Lowe. But that is the risk you take. They preserve their cars. They also went ahead and preserved tires. They know they're going to be in a decent position when it comes to equipment stability for the race. But they're going to be starting way farther down the order than I believe either of them were anticipating to start. And we'll prepare to load up into the qualifying session 3, this shootout for the pole, shortly here.
So now the question is going to be, who is going to be the first driver to get out onto the circuit? Again, Mr. Anderson, fastest driver at the end of sector of qualifying session 1. Venom, fastest driver at the end of qualifying session 2. Now the question is, who's going to be the fastest at the end of qualifying session 3? And coming out of the Ferraris, that camp, that is Danny JJ802. He'll try and be the first to get out onto the circuit, but he is going to be beat by PPR Venom in the AlphaTauri. Oh, this is a strange kerfluffle there. Already, drivers hustling to get out onto the circuit, but keep enough gaps between them so they're not compromising each other's lap. Now, the exceptions to that might end up being the Renault team, as we see now Ryan Hurricane is coming out onto the circuit, because both the Renault drivers are still in pit lane. They could try and get out on the track at the same time. Mazda now on the circuit. This is Collie Boy here as he is behind Danny, trying to back off just a little bit so there's a little bit more room between the two of them. Oh, I think he'd be trying to back off, apparently not. First driver to really watch is going to be this man here, PPR Venom. Will he be able to replicate what he did at the end of qualifying session 2 and go to the top? Playing very free. The track limit's on his outlap. See now both Renaults out onto the circuit. Now it's just Higsby who has yet to come out onto the track. As PPR Venom comes across the start-finish line right now and begins his flyer, his first flyer. The two Renaults did not hook up. They're on different parts of the track. They are both in Sector 3 right now, but one has just started while the other is close to the end of the lap. So yeah, right now, the interesting driver is Higsby, as he has not yet made a move to get onto the circuit. Venom, 49.701 at the end of Sector 2. He is going to be the first driver to set a time, and that will be the bar that everyone else will have to chase. Is Frisbee had an issue back there in the middle of his lap. He's back underway, but has invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. Again, we turn our focus to Venom out of the final corner now. And at the line, PPR Venom will set a lap time of 1:29.433, by far the fastest we have seen this entire day. Here comes Collie Boy. He will be the next driver to set a lap time. And at the line, he will set a time 1:29.875. That's the fastest we've seen from him all day. Mr. Anderson in the McLaren. What can he do? 1:30.013, a little bit off of what we were used to. Ozda invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. Ryan Hurricane will likely be the fourth driver to set a time in the session, as Danny is retired into the pits, aborting his shot at it. At the line, second in points in the Ferrari, Ryan Hurricane sets a time of 1:30.257. Now, Smoothie25 is the first Renault, is the second Renault across the line, but will be the first one to set a time, as Zola invalidated the lap he was in the middle of. And Danny is already making moves to get back out onto the circuit, so it did not take long for him whatsoever. Out of the final corner, here comes Smoothie25 now. The rear wing opens, and at the line, 130.206. Higsby still in pit lane. Frisbee ended up having an incident that canceled his first lap, but this is his second attempt. A little bit low on fuel, so it's going to take him a while to get around and try and go for another shot. You better hope this is a good one. At the line, in the Williams, he sets a time of 130.504, by far the slowest we've seen thus far. So Venom still on top by a significant amount, almost a half second. Ozda, another invalid lap. This is not looking good for him. Zola, same, another invalid lap. Higsby still has yet to leave the pits. Collie Boy retires from the session. He feels that he cannot improve from that time. Danny in the middle of an outlap right now. 6 drivers have set lap times, 4 are left. There is less than 6 minutes left in the session. Alright, here he is. He's now in the middle of a lap. Ozda is also in the middle of a lap, and he's not invalidated this one yet. So Ozda might try and be the next driver to set a time in the session. Frisbee has had an issue there. Hopefully that will not cause an issue for Ozda in the middle of his lap. Frisbee pulls it into the pits. Coming out of the final corner now is XRL Ozda. His teammate Venom is at the top with a 129.433. Where will Ozda stack up? 130.046. That's good enough for 4th. We turn our focus once more to Danny. At the end of Sector 1, he sets a time of 49.910. So about 2/10 off of where Venom was when Venom set his fastest lap through there. Zola now coming out onto the circuit, trying to get another go for it. Higsby still has yet to leave pit lane. Ryan Hurricane now coming out on circuit as well, as has Mr. Anderson. The fuel light is flashing for Danny. At the line. DRS pops open. He will set a lap time of 1:29.746. That is good enough for 2nd. Zola trying to be the 9th driver set time, as Higsby has still yet to make an attempt to get out onto the circuit. Venom is staking around in pit lane. Danny is on a cooldown lap. Mr. Anderson in the middle of a warm-up lap. Ozda brings it back down in the pits. Ryan Hurricane is in an out lap. That's Ozda, right? No, that's Venom. Yes, Venom is now coming back onto the circuit. He feels that he can go even faster, and he thinks that his lap might be under threat from other drivers. Solo will be the first one to watch. He is coming across the line now to start his next flyer. His next attempt at flyer, that is. Higsby still has yet to make a move to come out onto the pit lane. And considering it takes you about a minute and a half to get around the circuit, if he doesn't get onto the track in the next 45 seconds, he will be the 3rd driver in 3 sessions to have not set a single legal lap in a qualifying session. At the line, Zola, 50.367. That's the line at the end of Sector 2, that is. Now through Sector 3. Coming down to the line. The DRS pops open. His teammate has a 130.206. Zola, 130.519. The slowest lap time yet. Ryan Hurricane is coming down. He is up on time. Where will he be? What will his time be at the line? Second, 129.434. That is just 1,000th of a second off of Venom's time thus far. Venom trying desperately to see what he can do to improve because he now knows that time he set is not unassailable. He wants to put a bigger gap between himself and the drivers behind him on the clock. He's down on time at the end of Sector 2. Higsby still in the pits. He will not set a single lap time in the session. Frisbee is now beginning a flyer lap, as is Ozda. Smoothie 25, he will get across the line with 13 seconds to spare. For Venom, this may be his only shot at setting a lap because it does not look like he's going to make it to the line in time. He will not. Time's up. Over. Plow. But he has improved. He pulls out an extra 800ths compared to his prior, and all that was in Sector 3 alone. It's not a significant improvement, but he is now a 100th ahead of Ryan Hurricane instead of just 1,000th. Ryan Hurricane is on a cooldown lap. He will not be able to improve. Ozda is in the middle of a flyer, but he's already invalidated. Smoothie trying to make something happen right now, as is Frisbee. Frisbee is up by roughly a quarter of a second. Smoothie also up by roughly a quarter of a second. Ozda, again, invalid lap. His time will not matter. Unless Smoothie or Frisbee can pull out a massive amount of time in this final section, Venom will have the pole. A little bit fast and loose with the track limits there by Frisbee and the Williams. The only Williams to make it into Q3. He is guaranteed at least 9th, but he would love to start the race a little bit higher up than that. At the line, the Williams of Frisbee will set a time of 130.342, a very slight improvement up to 8th. Now here comes Smoothie 25. At the line, where will he go? Third, 129.714. And with that, the session is over. Ozda, the lap that he was in the middle of, was invalidated. He spins out of the final corner. But the session is over. And it's this man, PPR Venom, fastest at the end of Session 2, now fastest at the end of Session 3. He will take the pole for today's race at France. And now we get into the big event itself. The race, the second to last race of the XRL season. There's your top 10 starters for the race. And it should be about 5 minutes until we get underway for the race itself. And here we are, the rain has fallen. And this means, the big thing is that tire choice means nothing now. Everyone will be starting on either intermediate or wet tires, depending on the level. But the difference between softs and mediums and hards will be invalid and won't mean a thing in the race, at least not at the start. Now, here's the difference between the intermediates and the full wets. Intermediate tires, the grooves are a little bit smaller. They're not going to clear out as much rain because they anticipate that there's still a little bit of grip that you can really get. Wets have a lot deeper grooves, and they're going to move a lot more rain off the circuits. But anyways, we're just going to stand by for the moment until we get underway for the race itself. We should be going in about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Anticipating to get underway here in about a minute and a half time. Again, anticipating light rain to slightly damp conditions. We do not know how long the rain will be on the circuit before it starts clearing out. That could necessitate a quick change to mediums, or depending on your strategy, maybe even hards. And just in case you are listening, Venom, who is your pole sitter. Venom, if you are listening, a dry setup in the wet is always faster than a wet setup in the dry. Just keep that in mind. Big element of the race also is that as long as the rain is here in the area, there will not be any DRS enabled. All overtakes on the track will be 100% driver ability, or capitalizing on the mistakes of the people ahead of you. As we prepare to load onto the circuit proper, and someone just lagged out. That's awesome. They may have to necessitate a race lobby restart now. Oh, no, everyone's here, I guess. But anyways, we are underway, and it looks like Venom gets a relatively good run down the straight. It's Ryan Hurricane. Ooh, and that is Veloci in the back, who is spinning out of control. Significant damage on the front wing of the car, but that seems to be it. But both of the Mercedes have fallen to the back as well. And there is chaos in the back. Frisbee is not properly connected right now. That could end up being an issue. Higsby trying to make his way up. He did not have a good start either. Davis Khan being held up by the AI that has controlled Frisbee's car, as Frisbee, for the moment, is disconnected from the race. Everyone running the intermediate tires right now. Oh, that's contact. That ain't gonna look good. But Frisbee is by. Mr. Anderson has gone off circuit, and he will fall all the way to 12th now. And Frisbee's AI is just getting walked over right now. Ozda has worked his way up into the 4th position, behind the 2 points leaders of Danny and Ryan Hurricane. And Venom is walking off. Davis Khan is overtaking, or trying to finish an overtake on Lowe. Lowe is not letting him have it that easily. And Bullbeast is right behind both of them, ready to capitalize if one of them make a mistake. Davis Khan aggressively slots his Alpha in front of the McLaren. Big lockup from Bullbeast's part. Lowe is going into the pits, and I don't know what was going on there. Okay, I'm not even sure if that's legal. But a bunch of drivers coming into the pits right away, trying to deal with early race damage. Meanwhile, Ozda, hanging out behind the Ferraris, is Ferrari versus AlphaTauri at the front. A little bit farther back on the circuit, Mr. Anderson is there in the 10th position, looking to put some pressure on Davis Khan. Again, there is no DRS. Any overtake you're going to see is going to be 100% driver skill and ability, or capitalizing off AI incompetence, as is the case of these two. Higsby, who's currently held up behind Frisbee, will likely overtake him, going into the braking zone at the end of the straight. Neck and neck. Just muscling his way through, as Beastie now puts his focus on. Farther up, Raptor is focusing on Torpedo, and Mr. Anderson has just swapped by. Swapped? Swapped. That's not the term I want to use, but I don't know what I did want to use. But Mr. Anderson has squeezed by Jabez John now, as the battle for points-paying positions. Further back, BCN is now by Frisbee, but it's another 17 seconds until you get to Bullbeast. And Veloci, another spin. This one at the start of Sector 2. And if this continues for Veloci, he will be at risk of going out of the race. He very nearly destroyed the car right there. Ozda, time penalty for track violations now. But Veloci is now back underway and going properly. Frisbee is overtaken Beastian somehow. That's interesting, but Beastian will take that back easily on the straight. Raptor working on the Haas of Torpedo now. Oh, and Ozda has had an issue now. It looks like that car is spun completely off circuit in the wet. So he goes from 4th all the way down to 9th, maybe even 10th. I think he will lose 10th to Davis Khan, 9th to Davis Khan. So Ozda now barely in the points, and he got out of it without wing damage, so that is a small plus. So Ozda will now have to work his way up to the field as Raptor continues to pressure Torpedo. Zola has lost the position on maneuver. A lot of these movements are happening before I'm even catching them. I'm watching the intervals on track, but the overtake happens like almost instantaneously before the intervals have time to properly adjust. As Ozda overtakes Davis Chung, gets back in the 9th. This is Lowe, who is working on Bull Beast. Neck and neck down that second straightaway. Lowe will take the position for now, because Bull Beast is going to dive back. Going into the next corner, side by side, there you go, contact, and Bull Beast spins. XRL Fiend will go by and capitalize, as Veloci is in the pit lane and is now a lap down. Here's something to watch. Mr. Anderson is closing in on Smoothie 25, and Ozda is going to be closing in on both of them. And Veloci, another incident on circuit. Beastian closing in on Higsby, and Raptor still trying to make something happen on Torpedo, but this is the real battle to watch at the moment. Mr. Anderson in the draft of the Renault Smoothie 25. 2 Renault-powered machines going down that straight. Now through the little chicane here. Lowe gets back by Frisbee. Collie Boy has just I keep using the wrong term. He has swapped positions with Zola. Farther up. Ozda has now caught this battle. So Smoothie is slow enough to hold Mr. Anderson up, but I don't know if he's going to hold up Ozda, as Ryan Hurricane has just set the fastest time. He is actually closed in just a bit on your race leader PPR Venom. Coming onto the main straightaway now. You can see Smoothie is gaining a little bit of gap on Mr. Anderson down the straight, but Ozda not having that same issue against him. Ozda is getting that double draft down the straight, but Ozda is dealing with double the aerodynamic wake in the corners. He falls off significantly afterwards. Ryan Hurricane, anyways, is working, and Raptors just gotten by Torpedo farther back. Here comes Ryan Hurricane. Trying to see if he can make something happen, while at the same time, Ozda wants to make something happen against the 2 cars ahead of him. Now Mr. Anderson has a time penalty, while he's been trying to overtake Smoothie 25. Beastia now gets by Higsby. So the Mercedes are on a slow charge back up the grid after having a pair of bad starts. Mr. Anderson falls off a bit. Oh, and Venom has just lost the position. Well, it's not lost yet. There's still neck and neck, a little bit of physicality going on there. And Venom forcibly puts himself back in front of Ryan Hurricane. So a lot of battles going on the track, despite the fact there's no DRS to help bunch things up. All of this is pure ability. Danny really closing in on the 2 leaders down the straight, but not quite in a position to do anything yet. Frisbee now falls to 18th, and Lowe gets by Higsby now. Ryan Hurricane right there. Oh, and Veloci has had another spin, and this one's right in front of the leaders. Oh, and he's merging onto the track, and that's the leaders! And their top 2 have just been crashed out! And Veloci just pulls right across the track. What in the world was that? Is Veloci disconnected? Is Veloci disconnected? No, Veloci is connected. So a potential I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he is having extreme trouble staying on the track all around the circuit. He basically seems to have no control of that car whatsoever, and it has now directly impacted the race. Your race leader at the moment, PPR Venom, now has significant front wing damage, and Ryan Hurricane has wing damage also. In addition, this now gives Danny KJ02 the lead. This has major championship implications along with race implications as well. Veloci completely unable. Ooh, that's not very nice, as we see Venom make a little bit of contact there on the straight. But Veloci has no ability, it seems, to keep the car on the circuit. Hilariously, despite that impact he had with the leaders, he is still on track and doesn't seem to have too much damage, but he's coming into the pits anyway. And I would hope that he decides to retire from the race and find a bit of talent and push it between his feet and his head, because he desperately needs that. But now the race and the championship has just basically been given to Danny JJ-A02, as he now has a seemingly insurmountable 30-point lead, and then that will be added on top to the fact that Ryan Hurricane will be playing catch-up for the rest of the race, and Danny will just be able to cruise off to what should be an easy win, assuming no one else runs out of talent in front of the leaders. So, with that in mind, I believe you can say the championship has been decided, and congratulations to Danny. Young Maneuver has now worked his way up into the second position, 7.7 seconds out of the lead. Oh, and it gets worse. So Veloci has retired from the race, but the AI decides that he should still be out on the circuit. Yes, game, that is definitely how it needs to work. Thankfully, it won't be an issue for too much longer. The car will despawn, though. Meanwhile, farther up the grid, Mazda has gotten by Anderson, and now he is putting efforts to try and get by Zola. Zola is using the draft of his teammate Smoothie25 ahead to stay ahead of Mazda. The question, though, is how long will that last? See Mazda right there, less than half a second behind the Renault. Last two corners, if Mazda is really good in the braking, he might be able to get side by side on the straight. It looks like the Renault is a little bit smoother, though. Mazda's still pulling on Anderson. And Mazda is closing on Zola, but he's not closing fast enough. He's not going to be able to make a move at the end of the straight. So he needs to play his cards a little bit more clever, in a more clever way. Torpedo now looks at Ryan Hurricane, wants to see if he can do anything to get by the driver who was second earlier. So Zola has actually caught Smoothie, so now Smoothie is holding up Zola, and Zola is holding up Mazda, and then Mr. Anderson is faster than the two Renaults ahead also, it would appear. Going down the straight. Now into the braking zone. We're seeing that Mazda closes really nicely on their Renault in the straight, but he's just not getting a good enough exit out of the corners to really make it work. This will be his best chance. Volbe's time penalty. Here we are, side by side between Zola and Mazda. It looks like around the outside, Mazda's trying to make it stick. There's not a lot of grip out there. It's a longer way around the corner anyway. Mazda completely goes off circuit for a moment there. Shockingly, the game doesn't seem to give him a penalty for that. Mazda back behind Zola now. And there we are, on the straight. Mazda finally got a better run than Zola, but Zola coming back under braking. They're still side by side. And as they're doing this, Smoothie is getting away, but Ozza is working his way back up the field after an earlier self-inflicted spin. Zola is really playing hardball with him. He's continuing to watch this battle here. But it looks like Oz has now finally gotten by Zola. So now Zola once again going back under pressure from Mr. Anderson as Ryan Hurricane and XRL Raptor are slugging it out there a little bit farther up. This is battle for points paying positions. This is one of the best races that Raptor has had for a while now. Alright, coming into the party right now is XRL Velocity. Velocity, go ahead and include your audio. Before anything else, though, I do want to say I will admit that I put you on very hard blast after the incident that happened. I was not aware it was your first time on a wheel. However, I do still want to hear from your own perspective what was going on today, basically from the start to the end of your event.
Well, from the start of the race, I just couldn't hang for the back end of the car. It kept going around. I thought I was managing the throttle, but just I think I'm getting traction. I put the foot down a little bit more and I spinned, and I think I pitted 3 or 4 times and I was lapped by lap 2. And then the instant where I rejoined, I was off the track. And when I came to rejoin, I thought I left them enough room on the inside, but clearly I didn't. And now looking back at it, turn 9, I think it is. Quite a wide. You run out quite wide off the exit. I should have just stayed off the track and let them run past before I joined. So yeah, I'm probably going to see quite a large penalty because of that. I completely deserve it because what I did was dangerous and unsafe. But yeah, I just couldn't keep the back end in check today.
All right, real quick. First time with the wheel was today. You didn't seem to have too much of an issue in the dry. So just to kind of ask, did you have a dry setup on the car or a wet setup for
I
the event?
had a hybrid setup that I made on pad a while back. So for most tracks, I have a wet and dry setup, and then I usually have like a tactic for adjusting my setups, so that because to the end, well, I won't ruin the weather, but there was a bit of change in weather at the end. Well, I've just ruined it, sorry. But there was a bit of I think it was about 60 minutes in, it said it would dry up. So I was drying. I had a hybrid setup on for qualifying. I did a lot of dry practice. I didn't realise that it was, well, obviously I didn't know it was going to rain in the race. So I wasn't prepared today.
Alright, again, I will admit that it was a shame to see you struggling so much and get taken out so early in the event. Real quick question, when you did have that rejoin, was there any damage to your car in addition, or was just the withdraw completely self-inflicted as Ozza's gone around, and Ozza's gone around just chasing Smoothie. And now Ozza has a second self-inflicted spin of the day. Anyways, I'm sorry, Glossy. Did you have damage in that instant where you did collide with the leaders?
No, I didn't have damage, but I just decided that I didn't exactly. I shouldn't keep racing after that because that wasn't safe for me to be on the track. As I was just gonna keep spinning and keep just. If it wasn't just that one incident, I would have caused a check pile of others, stockpile of others.
Alright, well, that's the word from Veloci. Unless you have anything else you want to say, you feel free.
One last thing, it's Veloce, not Veloci.
Veloci. I know you've told me that before, but it's also been a long time since I've seen you in a race, so... Alright, well, hopefully we will get to see you next week at Brazil, and hopefully things will be a little bit both better practiced out and ironed out when it comes to setting and wheel and all of that. Real quick, guess for kicks, what wheel is it?
It's a G920. It's certainly my first wheel, so...
Alright, everyone, you hear that here, folks. Don't get a G920. Anyways, I will admit, I did put you on very, very hard blast. In the broadcast, and Coley Boy very nearly spins out of the third position. I did put you on very hard blast for what you did, but...
I deserved
with
it,
a little
to be
bit,
fair.
With a bit more context, I do want to say I do want to walk back a bit what was said.
Oh no, it's fine. I completely deserve what happened. I should have rejoined safer, to be honest. I thought I left enough from, but like I said, I didn't, so...
Alright, well, that is the word from Veloce, as his race has come to a very early end. End is basically, instead of Danny Sullivan's spin and win, it is the spin and end show for Veloce. Hopefully we'll see him having a better run in the future. As we turn our focus back onto the race proper, 13 laps into a 53-lap event, and another spinner, and that is Ozda. Ozda has just gone through 3 spins in the span of about a lap and a quarter. And he has now plummeted from the points paying positions all the way down to 15th position. So everything is getting away from Ozda. 11 laps on the tires. I have to wonder if potentially Ozda has a problem where the tires are just worn enough now that they're not able to properly clear the rain away, and he is no longer gaining proper grip around the circuit. You have a maneuver now as a time penalty for track violations. He is the second place driver, 17 seconds out of the lead. So without a doubt, Danny has been handed the race win and the championship, assuming there's nothing else. And now XRL Ozda has been disqualified from the event as well. Either disqualified or left. I'm not 100% sure which one it is, but he is now out of the event. After retiring in the pit lane, here's a bit of an incident here. Frisbee being passed down the straight.
Have a good evening.
Have a good time. By Ryan Hurricane, as Ryan Hurricane will get by Frisbee. Frisbee still a lap down. And I believe he is still disconnected as well. Let's just look real quickly from Venoms. Yes, Frisbee is still disconnected from the event itself. Alright, now real quickly, we're going to go ahead and try to rein up Ozda. Ozda, if you're there, go ahead and include your audio. And no, he is not here. Never mind. So Ozda will not be able to share what's happened with him. Kind of a shame, but 2 retirements, both self-chosen by drivers who are just having significant issues maintaining traction around the circuit. 17 drivers still on the track. 16 realistically, because Frisbee's not really a driver, it's just an AI masquerading as one. As Beastian is currently hunting down Torpedo. Beastian's teammate Raptor has climbed his way up into the 10th position. So now Beastian trying to do the same, although after he overtakes Torpedo, he'll have to make up 17 seconds before he can do anything else. Ryan Hurricane and Venom came in to repair damage earlier. Now they are on an alternate tire strategy. They are going to want to hope that the track dries out at a point where it will be ideal for them to get on and they can beat others. Otherwise, they will be stuck in the bottom half of the points paying positions, likely for the rest of the race today. Because now that the field is properly spread out, overtaking has proven to be excessively hard, although Lowe is trying to do something to Raptor, and that's Frisbee, who is causing significant issues right there. Frisbee's AI is causing significant issues, and that has just cost Raptor the position, and Raptor has tried 3 times now to get by the AI of Frisbee and cannot do anything about it because the AI is so utterly incompetent, you'd think he was a pay driver from 1983. And it's nothing against Frisbee. Frisbee got disconnected literally in the last 10 seconds before we load onto the circuit. But the AI is utterly incompetent right now. And it's having a very negative direct effect on the race. Farther up though, Ryan Hurricane is trying to make his way back up from mistakes earlier as he is now focused on XRL Zola. Zola has time penalties and older tires than Ryan Hurricane, so this would be a good chance for him to make up at least one more spot potentially in the event. Still trapped behind the Renault. But you can see the Renault got a little bit better drive coming out of the corner. But here we are, Ryan Hurricane significantly faster on the straight, especially with the draft. He looks to the inside. He thinks better of it, pulls back in line behind, lets off the throttle a little bit earlier, brakes a little bit later, lets him stay right underneath the rear wing of the Renault. Venom is closing in on this as well. On board with Venom as we can watch Ryan Hurricane putting the pressure on Zola. The Ferrari trying to get a good run down the straights here. Zola a little bit better, putting the power down. Ryan Hurricane is able to fall in line and utilize the draft to stay right in the aerodynamic wake of the Renault, but isn't able to actually make anything happen. Venom following, trying to close in. Ryan Hurricane right there, taking an alternate line through that corner. Venom gets double the aero wake. Can't really do anything about it. He's closing in, but he's not really able to control his car to the maximum. The aero wake from these two are really hampering him. You can see him really struggling. But Ryan Hurricane has now sneaked his way by Zola. And is already opening a gap on the Renault. So now the question is, how long will it take Venom to do the same thing? Might not be as long as you'd think. He's right there in the aerodynamic wake. He looks to the inside, neck and neck in the braking zone. Zola still has the nose in front, but here we are, another straight, and there we are, Venom pulls ahead. Zola gets a time penalty trying to follow them. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, Lowe is closed in on Jabus John. Torpedo pitting. But Lowe is now free from Raptor and was able to put all his focus on the Alfa Romeo of Jabus John. So lap traffic of Frisbee has really ended up helping Lowe, as he is now right there behind the Alpha, going down the straight. Looks to the inside and under braking. Before we even get to braking, honestly, he's going to get by him without too much of an issue. Not really anything Jabus John can do. Farther up the grid, Mr. Anderson trying to make something happen on Smoothie 25 as Fiend is also going to join his teammate Torpedo in the pit lane. Oh, and Zola is going to jump into the pits now. Oh, and Bull Beast has had an incident. And that's a safety car. It's a full course safety car. Bull Beast's machine is completely destroyed. And that's well down the straightaway. So now I have to wonder what happened. It's just slightly off the racing line, but that is a full course safety car. And this opens up the entire race. We're going to try and reach out to BG Bullbeast and see what happened to take him out of the race in such a strange way. We are now under a full course safety car, and everyone will have a chance to come in and get on another set of intermediates, a fresher set. And Beasting gets a penalty for speeding under the safety car. It's not going to help him one bit. Here we are, coming into the party right now is BG Bull Beast. Bull Beast, go ahead, include your audio. What happened that took you out of the race there? Bull Beast, can you hear me? Bull Beast, can you hear me? He might not have a microphone that he can utilize. I can hear you. Okay, real quickly, Bull Beast, even if it takes you a little bit of time, just please type out what happened that took you out of the race there on the back straightaway. Alright, we're watching everyone complete their stops right now. Level 6 Beastian has a penalty he'll have to serve for speeding in the pit lane, but I lost the car out of the left turn, tried to correct it. Okay, it's a shame to see that happen. Sorry, Bull Beast, that you were taken out of the event. You had a relatively decent run in qualifying, and it's a shame to see it come to an end like that. Fiend now has a penalty for ignoring the yellow flags. Which is weird because he's been just... Bye, Bull Beast, said hopefully you'll have a good run next week. Fiend gets a penalty, although it really doesn't amount to much because he's a lap down, trapped behind the leader, so there's basically no chance for him to get back on the lead lap, period. So he goes ahead and sneaks by the leaders right there. The problem is, if he tries to go by the pace car, is the game going to disqualify him? Fiend, another 5-second penalty. And he'll just go by the pace car now. At this point, there's not a whole lot left for him to lose. There he is. He goes ahead. He sneaks by the pace car. And although he earned 10 seconds worth of penalties for it, he has not been disqualified. So my guess is that he may have won that little battle, I guess, against the game. And he is still in the race. Another 10 seconds worth of penalties against him. But now he has a chance to at least try and catch up to the back of the field, along with his teammate Torpedo. Also, this is going to be a long, long period of time of gathering the field up. Young Maneuver, who is fourth, still hasn't caught the back of the field. So we are going to be under a very prolonged period of safety car. It is going to be a long time before the field properly gathers itself up. Young Maneuver finally catches the back, and here comes Collie Boy now. Level 6 BC is in the interesting scenario. He is still not pitted. He is on the same set of tires he started the race on. And then Ryan, Hurricane, and Venom are back in second and third because neither of them pitted under this yellow flag that let them jump back up to the second and third. But they're on worn tires compared to Danny, so they will eventually have to pit, and they're still on what I would say is a losing battle. If Ryan or Venom were able to come back and win this race, it would be an outstanding job. But I personally don't see it happening. Smoothie has caught the back of the field. What is Collie Boy doing there? Smoothie has caught the back of the field, as has Mr. Anderson now. Zola has caught the rear of the field. Lowe is the next driver who is anticipated to catch the rear of the grid. Venom should be closing in now. You can see the cars ahead without too much of an issue. And yes, he has caught the back of the grid now. Javis John, though, is another 25 seconds out. And if that all doesn't mean anything to you, the fact that Fiend is still more than a full lap behind in time alone from the leaders should say a lot. We are going to be under a very, very, very long safety car for this. Frisbee caught in the middle of the lead pack. He's in between Ryan Hurricane and PPR Venom right now, and he is a lap down, so he will likely have to move out of the way before he comes to the green and will fall to the back of the grid. It'll take a while, but that is basically the only thing he can do. As we are now on lap 20, the field got extremely, extremely spread out, not helped by the fact that we had 3 fast drivers, but 2 of them were taken out and knocked to the middle of the top 10, and then the leader ended up opening a 20-second gap on the driver who became second. So, yeah, this is going to be a very, very long safety car, to say the least. For those of you who have missed us, this is our first yellow flag of the day. You started out, and it was spinning in for Veloci, having almost a dozen spins in the first 5 laps alone. One of them involving 2 of the leaders, Ryan Hurricane and PPR Venom, knocking them out of race contention. That left Danny to take charge. Azza had a relatively good start to the day and found himself up in 4th, but then spun. He was climbing back up to the field, got up to about 6th, spun again, and then had 3 very quick spins in a row. He retired shortly afterwards. We're in the middle of preparing for green flag stops when BG Bulbies had instinct coming onto the back straightaway. It took him out of the event. And then we are now under the full course yellow, where almost everyone has made a stop, and Ryan Hurricane Venom, it's not looking good for them because they're still just adding laps. And here we are, there's the word, safety car coming in this lap. The entire field hasn't properly gathered, and this is going to be a little bit frustrating for Torpedo because he has no chance to actually catch the back of the grid and actually contend for anything here. We're going to go ahead and turn our focus to the leaders now. Ryan Hurricane, can he do anything to his teammate Danny for the championship or the race win? Coming down to the final corner. What's going on there? Well, Torpedo's just passed Beastian, but I think that might be because Beastian is going to be serving a penalty as we come down to the green flag. Oh, and Venom did not get a good start whatsoever. Young Maneuver immediately jumps him, and it's caused a bit of a kerfluffle also. But Danny already pulling away from Ryan Hurricane. Venom trying to hold off. He has significant wing damage. I think Venom ran over Higsby. I think as Higsby was pulling off to fall to the back, Venom ended up running into the back of him. Collie Boy gets by him. And everyone behind has nice clean wings. And it's causing a stack up here. Venom is damaged and is causing a stack up. Smoothie and Mr. Anderson trying to make something happen. Alright, Venom pulls off circuit completely, but Smoothie is now being was handicapped a bit. So now this is Mr. Anderson's chance to try and make a move down the straightaway. James John and Venom swap positions farther up. Oh, that slide right into the side pod. And there's going to be damage on Zola's car for that. Down the straight. Mr. Anderson now ahead of Zola because Zola has wing damage he's going to have to cope with until his next pit stop or potentially the rest of the race. Raptor gets by Venom, so Raptor is now back into the points paying positions. Venom plummeting through the order as a massive chunk of the wing has been torn off. and his strategy completely blown apart. Torpedo was able to catch the back of the field. Fiend was not able to catch the back of the field in time, and neither was level 6 Beastian. Okay, that was... Oh, it's because... Alright, so Zola came into the pits to repair the wing, and it messed up with the timing scoring line a bit. Don't worry too much about it. But now Zola and Venom both come into the pits to repair damage to their cars. And already... a significant amount of the field nice and spread out once more. That's Frisbee, who is 2 laps down. But now, Torpedo up into 10th, Raptor up into the 9th position. And the field nice and spread out. This is basically the only serious exception. Smoothie, Mr. Anderson, and Low are all close to each other. Not really able to do anything. Young Maneuver is staying just within striking distance of Ryan Hurricane, but he knows that as the stint goes on, that spot will come to him. The thing is, Young Maneuver, if he wants any chance at catching Danny, he needs to get by Ryan Hurricane fast before Danny opens up another 20-second lead on the rest of the field. Torpedo, time penalty for track violations. As we real quickly swap to time penalties, you can see Fiend not in a great position, 16 seconds worth of them. However, 10 of those were earned from him trying to just normally overtake the pace car, and I would hope that the series officials will remove those 10 seconds post-race. Oh, and Venom has gone out. There's no one around him, so I don't know what happened. But your pole setter has crashed out of the event. So a very, very chaotic race. It seems like if you're having anything close to a good day, it looks like it's going to end for you. PPR Venom started on the pole, led a bunch of laps earlier, but now travesty after travesty, he is now out of the points paying battle and out of the race altogether. Mr. Anderson right there behind Smoothie down the straight. Thinking better of it though, he's not going to make the move at the end of this straight, but he might on the next one. Coming into the party right now is the driver who sat that car on the pole position, PPR Venom. Venom, go ahead, include your audio. What happened there from basically the start of the race to the end that's brought you to this point? Venom, can you hear me? Yeah. Venom, go ahead, include your audio. What happened from the start of the race to now that brought you here?
Start of the race wasn't too bad actually. For being on the dry setup, I had pretty good pace. Me and Ryan were holding really well at the front. He was tailing me. Then probably about lap 7, I think it was, XRL Veloce pulled onto the track right into the racing line and caused both me and Ryan damage, but I spun, so Ryan overtook me, and then we both pitted. Came out and we were both fighting way through traffic. Both were having really good pace. I couldn't catch him really. I was slowly grinding down time, but man had incredible pace. Then we had the safety car restart, put Rich Mix on with lukewarm tires, I would say. That was a recipe for disaster. Pulled into the pits and got new tires from wing, came back out and the car just didn't feel right, and then back end dropped going through turn, I believe that's 11. Long right-hander into sector 3, so.
Alright, absolute travesty to see you out, so now I just have to ask, do you think there's any chance that anyone will be able to overtake Danny for the race win today?
Both Ferraris looks like they were on fire. I from what I saw from Ryan, if Ryan and Danny had similar pace, no one's touching them.
Alright, well, again, it's an absolute travesty to see you get taken out of the race with all the ability that you very clearly shown today. And hopefully next week at Brazil, you do not meet anything close to a similar fate. Anyways, thanks once again.
No problem.
Anyways, as we turn our focus back onto this battle, as the two McLarens continue to stalk the Renault with Smoothie 25, no real... Oh, okay, Venom's back. Hello. You okay? I don't mind. You can stay here. I don't mind that. Anyways, Lowe trying to make something happen on Mr. Anderson as Mr. Anderson is losing ground slowly against Smoothie 25. The interesting thing for Lowe and Jay was they made their pit stops right away when the yellow flag came out. But that means that their tires are just slightly older than everyone else, especially with how long that yellow flag was. This honestly is the only serious battle on the circuit. No one has anything that they can do to Danny today. Ryan Hurricane is the only driver who has comparable pace, and even that comparable pace has already left him 5 seconds out of the lead. This battle would probably be over immediately in Mr. Anderson's favor if DRS was enabled. However, the McLarens just aren't fast enough in a straight line to make up the ground that they're losing in the corners, dealing with the aerodynamic weight of the car. The other interesting thing, though, is that Smoothie 25 might be closing down on Collie Boy, and it could really put a monkey wrench in that if Smoothie catches and is held up by Collie Boy. Low, that's the closest he's been to his teammate Anderson all day today. Not able to do anything. Overtake him. Low just a little bit better, putting the power down in the main straightaway, but a little bit better here also. Here he is, going for a move on the outside of his teammate. He'll back out of it. But that's what Smoothie wants to see, because if the two McLarens are fighting behind him, then he will not have to worry. And Lowe sneaks by his teammate. The gap is 1.2 seconds between himself and Smoothie 25. Again, this is the only serious battle on the racetrack between these three. Everyone else is nice and spread out at this point in the event. Ooh, a little bit of a twist from Lowe. Who is that up ahead? That is Collie Boy, who is significantly slow. I wonder if he had an off-track excursion or something, because he was 2 seconds ahead of Smoothie, and now he's behind the Renault. Ooh, he must be having some sort of issue, because he's pulling way over on the straights. He is still properly connected, it seems, so it's not an AI causing this bizarro scenario. Lowe right there behind the Red Bull, trying to see what he can do. Closing in rapidly down the straight. Not enough to make a move at the end of this one, but he's right there. He's right underneath the rear wing right now. Raptor time penalty for track violations. Oh, and Higsby has made a very, very interesting move. He has come into the pits and has swapped on these soft tire compounds. So he seems to think that despite the fact that the track is wet and it's still raining, he is so confident in himself that he can go good. In fact, that has also, in turn, encouraged the officials to go ahead and enable DRS. So despite the fact that we're still raining, the track is still absolutely wet, DRS has now been enabled because Higsby has come into the pits and put on soft tires. And now your top two, Danny and Ryan Hurricane, are coming into the pits, and they are going to be putting on soft tires as well, I imagine. But it is absolutely still raining. Raptor has a little bit of an issue there. Now Young Maneuver comes into the pits also. In fact, everyone in the top 7 has come into the pits. Davis Gunn is staying out one more lap on the intermediates. Okay, no. So Lowe and Mr. Anderson also are staying out on the intermediates just a little bit longer. This is the first time Danny's not led since lap 6. So now we'll get to see if the track really has dried out or not. I don't see how it could have. We've been getting a relatively consistent rain all throughout the event, but apparently that's what they think. Raptor came into the pits, and instead of softs, he put on the mediums, thinking a little bit more long-term. Frisbee has also put on the soft tire compounds. And again, DRS has now been enabled as well. That's the other thing to consider. Zola and Fiend are both in the pits. They are putting on soft tires as well. Beastian is staying out on track. Well, I think there's the answer right there. Danny has already just put a purple sector 2 down. And it looks like the rain might not be coming down fast enough to stick on the circuit. So despite the fact that there's definitely rain on the track, it's not really changing the fact that somehow the track is drying out. The cloud cover looks a little bit too heavy and I don't think the ambient temperature is high enough to just naturally encourage the track to dry out, but that's what's happened. But Lowe, congratulations to Lowe, he will have led 1 lap. Lowe serving time penalties there. Raptor, another spin. So Raptor is not having the same luck as the other drivers. That is 2 spins in a row he has had there. He's still in the points paying position, but just barely. Oh, and Fiend is out now. And that's a full course safety car. And XRL Fiend in the Haas has gone off circuit, and his day has come to a complete end. That car is destroyed. We are back under a full course safety car now. The good news / bad news is that everyone had just finished their stops. We're going to try and get Fiend in here and see what happened. And this will be a somewhat long yellow flag because the field needs to get properly gathered up. However, we shouldn't be seeing a lot of drivers rush into the pits, and that will help it a bit. We'd love to get Fiend in here because the real question is going to be, is the track actually dry enough? I think it is dry enough, though, to make it work. Young Maneuver gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So Ryan Hurricane and Young Maneuver both elected to come into the pits. Ryan Hurricane is putting on medium tires, so he now has a scuffed set of reds that he'll be able to come back on later, and he's on a set of mediums. And they were far enough ahead that I think Ryan Hurricane will still come out of this in the top 5 or so. Collie Boy and Smoothie 25 are second and third. So we're back to having a scenario where it's going to be another extremely long yellow flag here. The good news, though, is that we do not have to worry about Zola and Beastian going a lap down. They will be able to stay on the lead lap. And for Zola and Beastian, there's honestly a serious chance that either of those two drivers might still be able to earn points just by finishing in the top 10, because Higsby is a lap down and Frisbee is 2 laps down right now. This is your race leader, Danny. Smoothie 25 closing in. He's going to be on soft tire compounds, as will the driver behind him, Collie Boy, and XRL Low. Low will have very slightly fresher softs. And then Ryan Hurricane will be 5th, and Young Maneuver will be 6th. 7th will be Jabus John. 8th will be Mr. Anderson. 9th, XRL Raptor. 10th, XRL Torpedo. 11th, XRL Zola. 12th, Level 6 Beastian. And that will be your top 12. All the cars on the lead lap at this point in the race. We are over halfway now. And the track has dried out. At this point, we can absolutely say the track has definitely dried out. I still wonder if maybe the issues that were hampering Raptor and took Fiend out of the race were because the track was still not properly dry or not. But that's no longer an issue, as Collie Boy and Low both would like to come into the pits a lap later. But Danny will hold on to the top spot. And now, Smoothie 25 is still there, but Ryan Hurricane now only has one car between himself and Danny. And again, Ryan Hurricane will be able to set more laps than Danny on this set of tires, as will Young Maneuver. So, although Venom's day is over, there is a potential for Ryan Hurricane to possibly bounce back, close the gap in points on his new teammate, and maybe bring the Drivers' Championship fight to the last race. Everyone behind the top 2 are on medium tires, except for Higsby and Frisbee, who are both a lap down. Raptor, time penalty for track violations. Beastian still rushing to try and catch the back of the field. It's going to be extremely hard for him to do so. He is trying, but it's proven to be quite difficult, it seems. Zola still hasn't caught the back either. Neither has Torpedo. Mr. Anderson and Jabus John are only now closing in to the rear. But Jabus John and Mr. Anderson pitted, so that's why it took them so much longer to do so. Raptor has older mediums than everyone else around him, but they're only 3 laps older. It shouldn't hamper him too much, and he'll probably be swapping onto the soft tire compounds at about the same point in the race that everyone else around him will be. Torpedo still rushing to try and catch the back of the grid here. Well, that's somebody's. Yeah, there's been a collision between Raptor and Jabus John, apparently. And Jabus John, I think, ran into the back of Raptor's machine and now has taken off part of that front wing. We saw that little piece of debris bouncing around and get hit by, I believe it was Haas behind. And yeah, Jabus John has to pit immediately to repair that damage. So he is going to fall even farther down the order now. Because Zola is going to catch... I think Zola is actually going to overtake him. Zola is just about to catch the back of the field here. And level 6 Beastian is going to be right behind him, I think. But we should be going green this lap. because with this in mind, everyone will be together probably at the end of this lap. We should be going green this lap, coming on to lap 33. Davis now falls to 12th. So yeah, all of a sudden, Zola is back in the points paying positions, and level 6 Beastian is just outside of them. So it's been a very, very interesting run, to say the least. And here we are, you see Beastian closing right back onto the back of the grid. 12 drivers on the lead lap, 14 still in the race. This is Davis John. He will be the last driver of any serious significance that needs to catch the back of the field. Frisbee will want to catch the back of the field also, but I think that might still be AI controlled. I'm not sure. I can't tell if he's still AI controlled or not. Either way, Davis John has now caught the back of the field, and we should be going green this lap. There's your word, safety car coming in this lap. So lap 33, with 20 laps to go, we will be going green for Danny and Smoothie 25. They are on soft tires. Their goal is going to be to get as far away from everyone else as fast as possible. Will Ryan Hurricane or Young Maneuver do anything coming to the green flag? Mr. Anderson has just run to the back. Oh, and Mr. Anderson comes into the pits as well. Coming to the green now. And we're off once again. Raptor already trying to make something happen on the McLaren ahead. Oh, and that's a stack up. And Collie Boy goes around completely off circuit. And a multi-car incident, and that may have just ended Raptor's day. There is a significant amount of front wing damage on that car, and this time there was nothing he could do about it. Everything was looking good, and the Red Bull spun in front of him, putting the power down, and now the entire grid is going to get shuffled again. Torpedo. Does he have damage? It does not look like he has any serious damage. Oh, look at this. James John trying to make it 3 wide. I don't think it's a good idea, boys, but he's committed to it. Collie Boy, significant wing damage. He's falling all the way out of the points paying positions. There's still bits of debris kind of bouncing around parts of the track I'm seeing. Raptor now down to 9th, and he will have to pit to repair that damage, and he will be out of the points paying spots. Ryan Hurricane, they're behind Smoothie 25. Smoothie has soft tires, Ryan mediums. It would be in Ryan's best interest to get by Smoothie as fast as possible. Zola has now somehow worked his way up into 6th. Oh, and Collie Boy has had another incident, and that's right there before you'd come into the pits. Mr. Anderson also still has a massive chunk taken out of his wing. So now it's Collie Boy and Mr. Anderson who are the two drivers who are looking to be outside of the points paying position. Mr. Anderson is going to keep trucking on with that significant front wing damage, though. Oh, and Collie Boy is retired. And I'm guessing the damage to the car for Collie Boy is considered terminal. Whatever happened, it was enough to terminally destroy the car. He is out. Now there's only 11 drivers on the lead lap. We're going to try and reach out to Collie Boy and see what happened here. A very strange race. France is a circuit that has lots of runoffs, and there's not really a whole lot of walls to hit, but we've seen a lot of drivers hitting those few walls. And this field is just, it's like taking rat poison and just slowly dying off bit by bit. Only have 11 cars on the lead lap right now. The interesting battle is going to be if Raptor can catch Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson has a massive chunk missing from the front wing of that McLaren. Raptor does not have to worry about that. So they will be saying fast laps for a while. Ryan Hurricane not able to get by Smoothie. Here's something else interesting. Higsby had to pit to repair damage on his car, and he is now actually behind Frisbee, who is an AI, who is driven by the AI. So, a lot of very bizarre scenarios happening here as Frisbee now officially overtakes Collie Boy, and we'll see Higsby doing the same shortly after. As Higsby goes ahead and lets Raptor by, as Raptor continues his hopeful pursuit on Mr. Anderson. Raptor needs to be closing by almost a second a lap if he wants to overtake Mr. Anderson for a 10th position. And that's assuming that time penalties aren't going... Ooh, yeah, Raptor has 11 seconds of time penalties. I think that battle is going to automatically go in Anderson's favor. Although Anderson just earned another 3 seconds of time penalty, so maybe not. But Raptor needs to really push hard to try and catch Mr. Anderson. What? What? What was that? What the hell was that? What was that? Raptor, look out! Be careful, man! What the hell was that? Oh, God! Oh, Jesus Christ! And that's a humongous hit! How's that? That should have been a full course yellow. The car was stopped in the middle of the racing line. How was that not a yellow? What is this? Why? There's so much stupidity going on today. And it's not from the drive. There's been some stupid things from the drivers, but the AI and the officiating system is utterly incompetent. Also, congratulations, Raptor. You're now guaranteed to get points. You're in the top 10 as long as you finish this race. But what in the... What is this race? What in the world is this? I don't... Alright. Alright. You know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This game will only be around for this series for like 2 more weeks. And then we don't have to worry about it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, but hopefully, Codemasters and EA have a better product for us. I highly doubt because EA, but whatever. Anyways, here comes BC, and he's going to get an overtake on Torpedo and moves himself up into the 8th position. We're going to try and reach out to Mr. Anderson. What in the world was that? What in the world was... I don't know. I don't know what happened. It seemed like the car just went straight into the wall. Lowe is hanging out there behind Young Maneuver right now. It's close enough they might be able to get DRS on the straights, but I don't know if he's close enough to actually make any overtakes happen. Not close enough to do anything yet. Low, time penalty for track violations. Right now, things are looking okay for Ryan Hurricane, but he needs to be closer to Danny. Danny has soft tires that simply cannot go the end of this race. However, Danny does have the ability to just use fresh air and walk away from everyone else. If Danny can open up a gap far enough, he might be able to still come out close enough to Ryan Hurricane that he'll be able to overtake him close to the end of the race. Ryan has tires that should be able to last him to the end of today's race. Lowe overtakes the maneuver. So there is still a possibility that Ryan Hurricane could win, but I think the advantage is still in Danny's favor if, it's a big if, but only if, Danny gets a massive gap over third and then pits and then really quickly rushes his way back up the field. Because those softs of his are not going to last these remaining laps. There's like 17 laps left. There's no way that Danny will be able to make those softs last. 26 laps total and still be competitive with them. Smoothie 25 is kind of the strange part of this. And then you also have Higsby right there. Higsby also really ends up causing a little bit of an issue there, although he's going to move aside to let Ryan Hurricane go by. Higsby is 33 seconds behind Frisbee, who is AI controlled right now. But he's closing now at a relatively respectful rate. There is a possibility that Higsby might still be able to get 11th, and he should still be able to get the fastest lap of the race of everyone outside of the top 10. But it's been weird for Higsby. Did not even attempt to set a lap in qualifying session 3. And basically has been mired in the back of the field all day long, but by just somehow staying alive, he is now 12th and might get 11th, but the frustrating part is he's still going to be a lap down at the end of this race. Anyways, level 6 Beastie closing in on Davis-Shawn down the straightaway. He looks to the inside, and under braking, he will sneak by. So the Mercedes are showing up in force. Raptor was in 7th earlier, and now Beastian is there. Raptor, though, is currently 34.1 seconds out from 9th, so he is not going to be able to advance higher than 10th unless you have a late race yellow bunching up the field again. Which should have happened. I'm just saying, when Mr. Anderson crashed and the car was literally stuck right in the racing line, that should have been a yellow. And the fact that it wasn't a yellow shows incompetence in the game, but whatever. Gun Maneuver wants to hold on. But here's something interesting. Smoothie 25 just set the fastest lap of the race. Danny set a fast lap, but Smoothie just set the fastest lap right afterwards. And Ryan Hurricane is still not too far away from either of them. So Danny is not pulling up as much of a gap against Smoothie or Ryan as he was hoping to. And already those socks have 11 laps on them. I don't see any way that you can make these socks last 26 laps. 20 laps, sure, but more than that around here, when Ryan Hurricane is only about 4 seconds out, I wouldn't feel confident with that. Ryan's tires are still within a good operating window right now. And what I said earlier about Higsby maybe catching Frisbee, that's no longer possible. He has to give up so much. He's getting shown the blue flag so much that he has to give up all this time. So Higsby is going to end up finishing behind an AI. No fault of his own. He's been involved in stupid incidents today, but yeah, that's sad. Maneuver trying to fight back against Lowe here. JJ02 opening the gap up again against Smoothie. $14 laps to go now. So now the question is simply, are Danny and Smoothie going to just try and nurse these soft tires to the end of the race or not? Because we know for a fact now that they can't pull far enough away from Ryan Hurricane to come into the pits. If Danny can win this race, he locks up the title. But if he pits, he's going to plummet, not a massive amount, but he'll fall a small ways back through the grid, and I don't know if he'll be able to make those positions back up. The thing is, Lowe and everyone from Lowe on back doesn't have anywhere close to the pace that Danny did, though. So Danny might not even be trying to outrun Ryan. He might just be trying to outrun Lowe. If he can get far enough away from Lowe and Young Maneuver to where the penalties that they have coupled with the time he'll lose in the pit. Yeah, so here it is. Right now, Lowe is realistically about 13 seconds out from Danny. And then Young Maneuver is even farther. Young Maneuver is realistically close to 19 seconds out. And Zola even more. So realistically, Danny might just be trying to stay out as long as he can. So when he pits, he'll come out and he will still inherit second because everyone around him will have penalties. And although that would help Ryan Hurricane close the points gap on Danny, I do believe the points gap would still be enough in Danny's favor that he would just have to finish 10th or better, or just earn a single point in the next race, and he would win the title. And that would be assuming Ryan Hurricane took max points, which I do not think he will. XRL has just been too competitive in a race, and you have too many chances for other people gain a good run that I don't think there's any way that Ryan Hurricane would easily take home max points and then Danny somehow gets none. So, yeah, I think Danny still is thinking long-term championship. He probably realizes the race itself is not winnable, although he has pulled off roughly a 7.5 second gap on Ryan Hurricane. He just needs to be far enough ahead to where when he pits, he will be ahead of Lowe. Because when Danny pits, Smoothie will likely join him right afterwards. So Danny will take second position if he can just stay ahead of Lowe. The question simply is, will the tires last? And that's one other thing. The AI is still controlling Frisbee, I believe. When we get a little bit closer from Danny, we'll tell. But will the AI in Frisbee's machine think that those tires will last? Because if the AI pits Frisbee, Frisbee might still lose 11th to Higsby if they take too long. Yes, indeed, Frisbee is still not properly connected in maneuver. Another time penalty is not looking good for him. He honestly could lose that position to Zola. AI typically do not take blue flags as seriously as proper player characters. So with that in mind, it's going to be a little bit of frustration for Smoothie and Ryan Hurricane to actually get by this AI. I'm not saying they can't do it. It's going to be a bit of a hassle like that. I don't know how that didn't end up penalizing Smoothie for track violations, but thankfully it didn't. Ryan Hurricane doesn't have nearly as much of an issue getting by him. So right now there are 3 scenarios we're watching. We are watching to see how long Danny and Smoothie can make those soft tires last. We are watching to see if there's any chance that Higsby can get by Frisbee. And we are watching to see this battle between Lowe and Young Maneuver. Although with all the time penalties Young Maneuver is racking up, it's going to quickly become a battle of can Young Maneuver stay ahead of Zola when penalties are added in post-race. Ryan Hurricane is the closest he's been to Smoothie all day now. Well, not all day, but since the restart. Ryan was out second, fighting for the lead, and then Veloce, who had basically no control of the car, trying to do something new with a wheel to no time to practice or anything. He spun and merged onto the track right in front of Ryan Hurricane and PPR Venom and took both of them out of race contention. Ryan Hurricane's gotten a little bit lucky and has clawed his way up into third now. Venom not nearly as lucky as he has crashed out in subsequent incidents. Frisbee going to give Lowe and Young Maneuver just a bit of a headache. Not enough to really cause a problem, but it's still worth noting. There is flat-out sun on the circuit now. There, Ryan Hurricane, he's within a quarter of a second of Smoothie 25, coming to the last corner. He will have DRS if he gets the power down well coming out of this final corner. He should be able to overtake Smoothie for second without issue. So the softs are definitely falling away. Ryan not fast enough at the end of the straight to make the overtake work, though. Smoothie is now to the point where he is directly holding up Ryan Hurricane. Young Maneuver has just gotten by Lowe at the end of the straight. Oh, but Renault's fighting back. Oh, wow, that was aggressive. He's still there. Lowe is still pushing it. And Zola loves to see this. Ryan Hurricane still not able to do anything to Smoothie because Smoothie is just good enough. Putting power down, getting onto the straight, so he's able to stay ahead of Ryan Hurricane. And I don't think that Ferrari is very well set up for straight line speed. We'll lose a little bit of time in the aerodynamic wake of the Renault in this sector of the circuit. But yeah, now the problem is that Ryan Hurricane is being held up significantly by Smoothie, and Danny is still gaining weight. Even though Danny's tires are just as dead as Smoothie's, he doesn't have to play defense. But again, with roughly 9 laps to go at the line, the question is, can Danny even make those tires last to the end, or will he pit? And then again, when Danny pits, I think Danny will still come out second or third, if depending on Smoothie, where Smoothie does. But I think Danny is still going to walk off with the title here. He'll probably lose the race, but he'll win. He'll lose the battle, but he'll win the war in the title. The gap between 11th and 12th is now close to 28.6 seconds. But Frisbee has much fresher softs than Danny and Smoothie. So I'm not 100% sure if Frisbee is actually going to pit. Frisbee's AI is going to pit him before the race ends or not. Young Maneuver has opened up the gap on Zola 1.1 seconds, but he has fallen to run 1 second roughly off. Here we are, is Ryan going to make the move? He does not. He is faster, he is significantly faster, but he's losing so much time, and he's just not able to make it work. He's not able to make an overtake happen. And he needs to make an overtake. I don't know if he needs to or not, but it would be in his best interest to make an overtake happen as fast as he can. Because if Danny decides to try and make these softs stretch out, then Ryan will be running out of time to get by Danny for the race win. Ryan Hurricane all over the back of Smoothie. It's the closest the Ferrari has been yet on the straights, but even with DRS, he's falling back just a little bit. Here he is, they're reaching terminal velocity. He's going to the outside. Cannot make it stick. And now over the last 2 laps, he has lost over a full second to Danny. Here's Ryan Hurricane, he's on the inside. He can't get the overtake to stick. I'm getting a little bit frustrated watching him. Because I can understand the pain he's feeling. Alright, he's got a much better run coming onto this straightaway. This will be the ideal chance for him to make the move happen. Side by side, he's coming to the braking zone. He's got the nose ahead. And he's there. He's finally by. But he's now almost 5 seconds out from the leader. He's going to have to push if he wants to overtake Danny on track. Because at this point, I'm not so sure that Danny will actually pit before this race is over. And neither first or second have time penalties against them. Just want to give a little shout out to the Mercedes drivers of Level 6 Beastian and Raptor. This looks like it's going to be one of their best showings all season long. Both drivers in the points. Should have probably been a little bit better for Raptor, but still having both Mercedes en route to finishing the race is going to do tremendous for them. As Beastian gets a time penalty as I say that. Go figure. But still, he should be in the top 10 regardless, and he'll still get points. Ryan Hurricane already closed the gap down to 4.1 seconds. Now about 4.2 seconds on Danny. Danny has clean air, but his tires are shot. The thing is, Ryan Hurricane, if he puts too much strain on the tires, he will burn his tires out, and he won't be able to do anything to Danny either if he catches him. So there is a bit of an issue that could still go down here. Frisbee looks like he's going to come home 11th with AI control. And for Higsby, complete bullcrap. Should have been higher than this. There's no reason he should be behind the AI car. He had the pace to be better than this. He wasn't doing great. He didn't have race winning pace, but he definitely had better pace than dead last behind an AI. It was pure bullcrap that's held up Higsby at this point. Anyways, most of the battles on track have pretty much dissipated. This is the main one to watch. Can Ryan Hurricane catch Danny and overtake him before the race is over? Six laps to go at the line. Raptor, 14 seconds of penalty is not looking good for him. Young Maneuver has 11 seconds. Zola has 12 seconds. So for right now, Young Maneuver will still be ahead of Zola. If Young Maneuver gets any more penalties, that's going to be a lot more up in the air. Lowe is still only about 10 seconds out from Danny right now. So again, if Danny was to pit right now, I think Danny would end up behind Lowe. I think he would still be ahead of Young Maneuver, but he would be behind Lowe. Changing the interval to that regarding the leader. Actually, real quickly, fastest lap thus far in the race, Smoothie with 133.819. Yeah, so Lowe right now is about 17 seconds out from Danny. Ryan Hurricane has closed the gap to 3.6 seconds. These two have been running for rival teams most of the season, but got put in the same car late to try and intensify the Drivers' Championship drama. But make no mistake about it, just because they're both flying the Scuderia Ferrari colors, they are not going to be viewing each other as teammates. They see each other as flat-out rivals. Five laps to go at the line. The gap now 3.1 seconds. Danny a little bit faster on the straights, I think, than Ryan. Ryan's making up most of his times in the corners. You can see that Ferrari ahead. Ryan Hurricane just set purple sector 1. He is charging. Oh, and Danny's had an incident! And Danny has had an incident, and now he has just forfeited the race lead. And I have to wonder if those tires are now gone. And now not only has he lost time to Ryan Hurricane, he's not only lost time, he's lost the lead. He may have no choice but to pit now. Is he going to stay out or not? He is still 4 seconds ahead of Smoothie 25. Will he stay out or pit? He's staying out. But now Danny is running a risk. Because at the line, it's going to be 4 laps to go. Can he keep that Ferrari together for 4 laps? If he can finish second, he should still be in a good enough position to lock up the championship. Also, I didn't see how this happened, but somehow, Higsby has closed in on Frisbee. Frisbee has come into the pits and taken off the set of tires. So now Higsby may have a chance of overtaking the AI of Frisbee before the race is over. Again, this won't be for points, but it would be, nice and proper to see Higsby properly be over Frisbee, because Frisbee has been AI controlled most of the race. Yeah, indeed, Higsby is closing in. He might still be able to take home 11th. The tires are cooked for Danny. He is now already fallen 2.3 seconds out from Ryan Hurricane. And although Smoothie behind him will not be an issue, Lowe is going to be a factor. But will he, if Danny pits? I think Danny at this point is committed. He's going to try and drag those soft tires to the end. If he can just finish second, he will have the championship pretty much locked up. That's Raptor. Was gotten by Higsby. Raptor will chase down Frisbee. If Higsby can stay in Raptor's draft, he might be able to use him to close in a little bit quicker on the AI. Danny dominated a large portion of this race after Ryan and Venom got taken out in an early event, but now strategy is working against him. But it might not be enough. Danny still has 4.4 seconds over third. Will the tires last? Again, we turn our focus to the battle for 11th. Higsby is closing, but I don't know if he's closing fast enough. You can see the disconnected AI of Frisbee just ahead. 1.7 seconds and closing down the straight for them. Ryan Hurricane. Coming out of the final corner. 2 to go at the line. Danny is still keeping it together, but his lap times have fallen off significantly. Smoothie still has the point for the fastest lap, so if he can hold on to that, great job on his part. Zola has to pit. He is going to go for the fastest lap point on the last lap. Good luck. I'm not even saying that sarcastic, like, good luck. If you can get that, good job, mate. Daviscon will not bother. I wonder if Torpedo might consider doing the same thing, though. He's not at risk of going a lap down. Yes. So Torpedo will also come into the pits and try to get the fastest lap point as well. For Raptor, I think he can't really afford to do that. He is already 10th, and he's 1 minute and 15 seconds behind the next behind the leader. I think if he tried to come into the pits, he would run the risk of going a lap down. So I don't think we'll see him try that. Yep, he will not. Higsby. Gap between himself and Frisbee has closed. Will he be able to get by for the 11th position? Oh, this is interesting. So Torpedo, he's right ahead of Raptor, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to get those tires warmed up. I'll be interested to see if Torpedo makes a mistake. Raptor might walk out here with 9th, actually. I say that as Raptor goes around. Go figure. Alright, well, he's still locked into 10th, so it's not really going to matter. Although it looks like he might go a lap down to the race leader, possibly. Yeah, he's going to go a lap down here. Can't do anything about it. Still, he was running way better than this, but kind of a shame to see it go away. But he'll still walk out here with points, assuming he actually finishes this race. Ryan Hurricane, coming back from an early lap accident. And he's going to walk out of France with a win. An ultimate comeback story. A story that will make Ferrari fanboys around the world extremely happy. The man who has brought the Ferrari colors all season long in XRL. As he is coming down now There's just a handful of corners left to navigate. One more corner. And here at France, Ryan Hurricane, the star Ferrari driver, will come to the line and take the checkered flag and win. But will that be enough for the championship? Regrettably, it will not be, because here comes Danny JJA02. He will come home second, and assuming no other penalties are prescribed, he will lock up the title. Smoothie will finish third. XRL Low will finish fourth. Young Maneuver comes across the line fifth. Level 6 Beast Team will be sixth. Zola should be coming across the line seventh. And Davis Dunn will be 8th with Torpedo 9th, trying to go for fastest lap. Here's the battle that I'm interested in. Higsby, will he be able to get by Frisbee before the race is over? This is their last laps. He is right there behind the Williams. What can he do, if anything, or is time up? Trying to come back from an accident that should have brought a yellow flag but didn't. Higsby for pride, trying to get 11th. There's 5 corners left. Here's your fastest lap, and Zola did get fastest lap points, so good job for him. Time's up. And regrettably, that overtake did not happen. Anyways, and there is your podium, all 3 of them putting on a very fantastic show in their own right. But what we really want to do is we want to talk to our top 2 finishers and your champion, assuming there's not something I'm missing in the point standings. And there's your end result for the race. And again, Zola, congratulations on getting the fastest lap of the day. Ryan Hurricane is your winner. Danny coming home second. Smoothie 25 third. Low fourth. Young Maneuver fifth. Trying to get them in. I don't know if Xbox parties are properly working or not. There is a possibility that Xbox parties are not working, and that is why we are having an issue getting our champion and race winner in here. I'm not getting any word from them yet. Alright, here we are. Coming into the party now is Danny. Danny, go ahead. Include your audio. And real quickly, I just want to say, congratulations. It might not be a race win, but I think you'll be happy knowing that, if my math is correct, you have locked up and won the XRL Championship.
Yeah, that might be the case. It might be. I don't know yet, because I don't think the results from the last race are out.
So the points didn't get updated from Monza, but if I remember correctly, you were only 1 spot behind Ryan at the end of that race. So I think you will have only lost 1 point, and you should have had like 30 points in the bag in your favor. Coming here, as far as I can tell, you either have the championship locked up, or you're in a position where you just need to earn 1 point next week, and you will lock up the title. So one of those 2 are the case right now.
Well, either way, going for the win in the next race because there's still a constructors title up for grabs. So still got to go for that, of course. And I'm sure Ryan will definitely be the same as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Ryan in here, but I'm having trouble getting him properly in the party. I do want to ask though. So you took home the second place, but from your perspective, how did you get the race lead? Because we were riding on board with you when the first and second got involved in an accident. So what happened from your perspective? Near the start of the race.
Yeah, it was Veloce, wasn't it? And he had a spin. And I saw Venom get hit by that, and then Ryan couldn't avoid that. He hit it. And I just slammed on and went around the outside, and I just went from there. That's basically what happened. Just them two got took out, and I just went.
You dominated this race.
I know. I was gutted with the safety cars because I'd got up like 20 seconds, and then everyone caught up. I was like, oh no. But still, I'm very happy with second.
All right, so I do have to ask this question, though. Do you think there's any way you could have won if you pitted in that last long green flag stint and put on another set of softs? Do you think you could have flown up through the field fast enough to get to the win?
No, I think the only way I was going to win is if I did what Ryan did and put the mediums on at the safety car. I think that was the right call. And I was thinking about it, and I didn't do it, and I should have done it. So that's the only way I could have won. I think once they were on the mediums and they weren't falling back, it was kind of over from there.
Alright, we'll still have the way a second place finish. Good job on that. And again, if you've won the championship, which I think you have, it doesn't help that the points didn't get properly updated after Monza, but I think you've won the championship, and so congratulations on that. And if not, well, I'll be interested to watch what the two of you will do next week.
Well, either way, I'd imagine he's going for it and I'm going for it, so it'll still be an interesting watch.
Yeah, there is still the Manufacturers Championship in play, like you said, and that is something else to consider. I'm going to send one more invite out to Ryan, but I've not had any luck getting anything from him. I don't know if he's just if Xbox parties are having an issue or what, but I'm not getting any luck. I had to send you like 10 different invites before you joined, so I don't know if they're not going through or what, but anyways, that is going to wrap up your second to last race for the season here for XRL. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. UK time, I will be covering X3 on the alternate channel, while Kinsey Retro will be covering X1 on the main. And then at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow, I will be covering X2, and I believe I will be doing that with Root Beer King, but that may end up changing. But I should be covering both X2 and X3 tomorrow. We'll be looking forward to having you guys watch us then. And then next week is an off week. There will be no races for any XRL main series next week. It is an off week. Everyone's taking a break. 2 weeks from now, though, will be the finale for Dev, X1, X2, X3, and XRL. So 5 different championships all coming in either into play, or if in the case of X3 they're already resolved, they will be wrapping up and we'll be seeing drivers putting in their last good run here in this game. But with that said, the broadcasting for today is over for XRL, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for X1, X2, and X3. I've been SameLeader13, and I'll see you guys then. Farewell.